go to this story now. Given the predictions and drop in profit margins by taxi owners dating back to late last year, tonight's massive fuel price hike may be the push people need to park their cars and start walking instead. Motorists and taxi associations have shared their concerns over the increases and are calling on government to intervene. Let's go to eNCA's reporter Nqobile Madlala, who is out and about finding out from motorists and business owners, etc., what they think about the petrol price increase. Nqobile, I see more and more people coming to that particular petrol station as we reach the 12 o'clock mark.
Well, definitely, Masejo. So we heard earlier on from some of the garage owners that they are expecting an influx of some of people's cars to come through and try and fill up just before that R2.37 is added on the petrol. But right now I'm going to bring in my guest, who's an economist, and I want to ask her, of course, because this is something that is important to a lot of motorists and very difficult time indeed for them. Is this going to end anytime soon?
Unfortunately, we are going to see a lot of challenge throughout the remainder of the year. This is just the beginning, if not the ongoing challenge of this inflationary increase. We are seeing not only the shortage of fuel from the war that is happening, it's also the impact of our exchange rates, which has slightly strengthened in this month, but is overall a little bit weaker than before. And that in itself is contributing to a much worse impact on the fuel price than we would have seen in another situation.
But of course, a lot of houses, a household are going to feel this. It's going to be very difficult looking at the fact that there's also food baskets that they still need to worry about. Are we sitting on inflation, or are we going to have more inflation?
We are seeing the direct impact of the fuel price through fuel prices, but the inflationary effect comes through our food prices, our logistics prices, the price of transport. So we're really going to see it in terms of the CPI measure itself, which was 6.5 in the last month and will continue to escalate over the remainder of the year. And that in itself brings a reaction from the Reserve Bank, which has already warned of interest rate hikes this year. So overall, the consumer effect is going to be real pinching on the balance sheet of households. We need to look at ways of saving money, focusing on essentials and trying to reduce luxuries where possible, just to manage the situation we're facing.
Let's talk about those savings. What sort of tips can you give to some of the consumers out there? What can they do? You can't get away from buying petrol.
Definitely, there are ways of looking at saving small bits. For example, at Liberty, we have the Stash savings product where you can save as little as R1, R2, and it accumulates through tax-free savings products. Another way of looking at things is, if possible, diversify your savings. Don't have everything focused on the local economy. Look at ways of buffering the external effects by having investments in other places as well.
But what happens to those that don't have anything to save at this time?
It is definitely going to be a challenging time, but I think we're in a country that is looking for solutions, that is looking for ways of creating employment and opportunity where possible. And I think that's where we really need to focus in terms of creating longer-term solutions. If people are in employment, at least they don't depend just on the grant to get by. So things like social grants will become very important for those who have absolutely nothing. But our focus should definitely be on creating opportunities that will allow people to just create wealth for themselves.
Thank you very much. Zandile Makova there of Liberty, and she's saying to us, Masejo, that it's going to be a difficult time going forward. And she's saying, though, we must look into savings. But, Masejo, I have spoken to quite a number of people, and one of those people is Santaco. And Santaco is saying that the taxi industry at this point is making a loss. So as much as we are looking into saving, a lot of other industries are looking at how they can really buffer this loss, and the taxi industry is now looking at subsidy, looking into government and saying, how can you help the people on the ground? But we all know this is the mode of transport that a lot of people rely on in this country. And of course now this becomes a difficult time, because Santaco also saying that what they have had to add is about 10 Rand. As much as they're making a loss, you can imagine that impact of that 10 Rand on a consumer that needs to jump on a taxi on an everyday basis. Some of them even sharing with us that they are spending about 100 Rand per day, which is a lot of money per month. And of course in comparison to the salary that they make, they're saying that it really is shrinking the little bits that they have. So the impact of fuel really just having a domino effect on each and every industry and each and every household.
That's true. Nqobile Madlala in Johannesburg with that report. And you might remember that Santaco did say that they would try and halt the inevitable, step of taking prices up. But I don't think it leaves them much choice now that we've gone even higher with petrol prices. Let's take you to